In Spanish, the word lechuga means lettuce. But it is also the nickname for a sacred object, a monstrance adorned with so many emeralds that it takes on the color of lettuce. These precious stones come from the famous mines of Colombia, known for centuries by the native populations. Even today, these mines are the source of some of the world's most beautiful emeralds. The monstrance, a masterpiece of goldsmithing and a symbol of the encounter between indigenous and European cultures, has survived time and history. Now a national treasure, it once almost disappeared forever. Without a doubt, it is truly miraculous that this remarkable object can thankfully be still admired today. You're listening to Voice of Jewels, a podcast from l'École, School of Jewelry Arts, supported by Cleef Arpels. Unveiling the stories and secrets behind history's most fascinating jewels. The date is May 30th, 1766. In the streets of Santa Fe de Bogotá, the houses are adorned with colorful draperies, garlands, and flags. In front of each door, a small altar has been erected. As I do every year, I have the honor of carrying one of the 4 posts of the mobile canopy under which the Jesuit priest walks. The inhabitants crane their heads out of windows. The streets are dense with crowds. Carpets of flower petals line the procession path. Hymns are sung, and small orchestras resound throughout the streets of the town. I move forward to the rhythm of the music, beyond the priest. From here, I have plenty of time to observe and admire the joy that animates the crowd. But above all, to contemplate the monstrance, the famous lechuga. Covered with emeralds, this sacred treasure diffuses an almost miraculous light. The priest holds the monstrance in his hands. At regular intervals, he raises it toward the sky and then lowers it back down in front of his chest. The central disc contains the host, and devout onlookers kneel as it passes. The radiant motif in solid gold symbolizes the sun. Clustered at the center and adorning the outer edges, Baroque pearls surround the body of Christ. Each ray ends with a gold and emerald disc. The whole is crowned with a cross and supported by an angel resembling an atlas. This extraordinary monstrance is a source of immense pride. But little do we know that this is the last time we will see it.
The work of goldsmith José de Galas between 1700 and 1707, at the request of the Society of Jesus, otherwise known as the Jesuits for the Church of Saint Ignatius in Bogotá.
Marie-Laure Cassius-Duranton, gemologist and art historian at l'École, School of Jewelry Arts.
The lechuga is a monumental monstrance measuring 80 centimeters. Made from several kilograms of gold, it is set with 1,486 emeralds, all of exceptional quality. It takes its name from the intense green color of these emeralds. It also contains other gems. For Christians, the monstrance is a sacred piece of goldwork intended to contain the hosts. A host is a piece of unleavened bread consecrated by the priest during the celebration of Mass. It represents the body of Christ, who sacrificed himself for the salvation of humanity during the crucifixion. The monstrance is an essential object in the celebration of Christian worship. In the Christian world, gemstones are given as spiritual value because of their beauty, color, and light, which is considered to be the materialization of the divine. In other words, gems are solid light. The emerald is one of the most important gemstones, and it is mentioned several times in the Bible. In the Middle Ages, its properties were described in lapidaries, or scholarly treatises on gems. For example, in the Christian Lapidary, an anonymous treatise from the 13th century, the emerald represents faith, one of the 3 theological virtues, along with charity and hope, the pillars of the Christian religion.
We landed in the Viceroyalty of New Granada at the very start of the 16th century. We settled in Santa Fe de Bogotá, the capital of this province of the Spanish crown. Our order grew rapidly, from a few Jesuits to several hundred. The Corpus Christi celebration was a time of communion between the local population and the religious community. The Christian feast coincided with the Festival of the Sun. Therefore, the procession that took place on this occasion was as important to us as it was to the native people. In order to celebrate it, we commissioned José de Galaz to create a sublime monstrance. He was offered a considerable sum of 1,000 reales. We purposely asked him to incorporate an emerald treasure composed of over 1,400 stones, most of them extracted from the Muso mine in the heart of the province.
Colombian emeralds were discovered by the Spanish in the 16th century. Despite the efforts of the native people to keep their emerald mines secret, the Chivor mines were discovered in the 1530s, the Muso mines in the 1560s, and the Cosquez mines in the 17th century. These mines are located in the mountains east and west of Bogotá. However, the emerald was a gemstone of secondary importance to the indigenous populations. For them, the most important gemstone was jadeite. The latter did not interest the Europeans, however, who were primarily looking for gold and silver, pearls and emeralds when they discovered the New World. With the discovery of the Colombian mines, the Europeans established an international emerald trade between America, Europe, and Asia, with Muso becoming the reference for the most beautiful emeralds. Today, there are about 200 known emerald mines in Colombia. The country remains the world's leading producer of emeralds, with the Muso mines still being amongst the most productive. Offering some remarkable specimens, the color and transparency of the Muso emeralds immediately draw the eye, as if they were imbued with an inner light.
For the Muso people, emeralds are of capital importance. One of their myths tells of Tena and Fura, created by the god Are, who loved each other with an invincible love. Their fidelity was supposed to be eternal, but Fura succumbed to the temptation of an evil god. Upon learning of the betrayal, Tena took his own life. His blood, mingled with the tumultuous waters of the river, transformed the landscape into mountains and rivers, while Fura's tears, mourning her lost lover, seeped into the earth and turned into emeralds, the green gemstones that illuminate the region's forests and mountains. This story symbolizes the creation of the world for the Muso people and explains the importance of these emeralds. They needed to be protected from the covetousness of the Spanish crown and remain on their native soil. Incorporated into the monstrance, they were destined to remain in the Church of St. Ignatius in Santa Fe. Or so we thought. I remember that I was in the midst of praying when the army entered our convent. It was April 1767. The bell had just struck 8. Brandishing the wax seal and royal signature, the captain of the military corps presented the king's order to our superior. We were accused of treason. In truth, I believe the fact that we spoke the language of the people was a bone of contention. The King of Spain, Charles III, had just signed a decree ordering the expulsion of the Jesuits from all the crown's territories, including the American colonies. In his eyes, we had granted too many rights and privileges to the Musos. The Society of Jesus had become a threat, and so was dissolved by the king. We now had 2 days to leave our convent. A boat was waiting for us at the port of Cartagena. We were strictly forbidden to take anything of value with us. Our return to Italy must be immediate and without souvenirs. The king was confiscating everything: our possessions, land, property. More than an expulsion, this hinted at the terrible pillaging to come. Amidst the chaos, what worried us the most was the fate of the lechuga. There was no question of bringing it back to Europe. On the contrary, it had to remain with those to whom it belonged. Everything had to be done to protect it from being melted down and dispersed. We had to make sure that the emeralds remained on Muzo land where they were born. So in the greatest secrecy, just before leaving the city, we entrusted the precious monstrance to a trusted confidant who hid it. It is said that a few years after our departure, a funeral was held in our church. A coffin was placed in a tomb intended for a priest. But inside, there was no body, just a lechuga, hidden here to survive the centuries to come, safe from the avarice of men.
Since its very origins, Christianity has been traversed by numerous debates relating to material splendor as a medium for meditation and devotion. In the context of the Counter-Reformation, which took place during the 16th century in response to the Protestant Reformation, the sumptuous and spectacular luxury that gave rise to Baroque art was considered an essential element in the celebration of the Christian faith. Founded by Ignatius of Loyola in 1540, the Jesuit order served as the Counter-Reformation and was one of the most important vectors for the spread of Catholicism throughout the world, particularly in the Americas. The lechuga is an exceptional masterpiece of South American Baroque goldwork. Its preciousness aroused the covetousness of the King of Spain, and its preservation in its place of origin is rather incredible.
De création en Colombie.
The lechuga was kept a secret for decades. It wasn't until the early 1980s that it resurfaced. Still in possession of the object, the Jesuit order wanted to contribute to the country's social transformation, to finance development projects at the service of the most vulnerable populations. It was decided, not without difficulty, to transfer the monstrance to the Colombian state. A sale in exchange for a promise to ensure its preservation and keep it alive. The money from the sale allowed the Jesuits to set up programs to aid victims of war and promote peace, particularly in the north of the country. The monstrance is now on display in the Miguel Urrutia Art Museum in Bogotá. A world tour was organized in 2017 with an exhibition at the Louvre and the Prado Museum, captivating crowds from all over the world. Proof, if any were needed, that emeralds are nothing short of a miracle. The Voice of Jewels is a podcast by L'École, School of Jewelry Arts, with the support of Cleef Arpels, with the participation of Marie-Laure Cassius-Duranton, gemologist and art historian at L'École School of Jewelry Arts, written by Martin Kenien and Aram Kebadjian, performed by Eduardo Ballerini, and produced by Bababam.